Hey everyone, we're going to do some Halloween soap crafts today. This is kind of a different video than my normal format. I'm starting off with a quick little recap for anybody who might be joining us that has never done melt and pour soap or is brand new to it. I'm just listing up on the screen some products that you might need. Most of them you will need. And then hopefully some little pointers to just get you going. Starting off simpler is better. The more simple project you can do, the better off you're going to be. Real quick to add to what I'm putting up on the screen there, where I have microwave or double boiler set up. Again, these are intended for beginner type projects. For a microwave, be sure to microwave in very small 30-second increments and stir in between as you go, because I didn't put that timing up there. And the amounts that you see are per pound. So depending on how many soaps you're making and how large they are, that's the measurements you would basically use. It's kind of generalized. Because there's a lot that goes into that. I do have a getting pretty big now playlist for beginners to kind of catch you up on some important, I wouldn't say techniques, but some important facts and some important things to make your first dive into melt and pour go a little more smoothly, and some troubleshooting videos as well. So please check those out. It's a beginner series melt and pour playlist. I will be linking that one at the end of this video in my little end thingies and cards and something. So it's a little outside of my normal, because I'm mostly trying to give you ideas today. So some of these soaps you may have seen me do in another video. It's kind of a compilation of some Halloween ideas, things you can do that are fairly easy. I do have one more complicated one, but you still could try it. You just might, it's just a little harder than some. But I do have a full video on it as well. And then at the end, I do have one brand new design that's kind of more of a fun soap craft. At least it's fun in my opinion. I had fun making it, and I think you might as well. What you see me pouring real quick there into that mica is rubbing alcohol. I believe that one was 71%. Doesn't matter. You can use 70% or 91 or 99. Any of those will work fine. You don't want to go below 70% for this, because you want it to evaporate fairly easily, or it might prevent your soap from setting up. So I'm sorry I sound a little weird today. I just had literally about half an hour ago, I had an allergy attack. I mean, usually I might say I'm bothered by my allergies today or whatever. No, this was a direct attack on my allergies, on my body. I started sneezing and just couldn't stop. It was fun. So anyway, I'm fine. I just sound weird. So again, I will link the beginner videos to help anybody out who hasn't done this before. Shredded soaps are a very, very easy way. You've seen me, if you follow me, you've seen me do many different things with soap shreds. They're easy. You just shred it with a cheese grater or vegetable shredder or something that hasn't been used for food, or at least has been really thoroughly sanitized, and not go. You don't want to ever go back and forth between food and soap or any other body products with your tools. So you want to keep a fresh set. And you can find a lot of these kinds of things just at the Dollar Tree or dollar store in general. I just I was showing the black at first just to show you how I grate my soaps, But this little skull I threw together had some neon shreds. I had separated the colors into different bags so I could pull from them whatever color combos I want. I usually do a lot of rainbow neon soaps, but these I was going with some kind of funky Halloween, contemporary Halloween colors. And the skulls came out really, really super cute, I think. And it was really easy. I mean, you just put the shreds in the soap. In many of the soaps I use with shredded soap, I will pour the soap first and then put in the shreds and the embeds. This one, because of the way the mold is shaped, you kind of have to put in the shreds first because it's a closed mold and you pour into the top of the hole. All right, so now if you've seen any of my videos, you've seen me do a gazillion demos of this, but I thought it was worth one more because this is specifically for a soap in here that I have not done the full tutorial on, and that is making little crystal embeds. So easy. They look more like crystals if you cut on a little bit of an angle for the first larger cuts you make, and then if you go a little smaller, you can cut straight up and down, but that extra angle is still in there and gives it more dimension and gives it more of a crystalline look rather than just little squares and chunks. It really adds to that. So I'm not doing anything really big with this. I'm just going super quick. In fact, I don't even show you how I put the crystals in the soap in this because there will be a full video on this one eventually. Hopefully next week. I've gotten kind of behind in all of my holiday stuff, but I do want to make a seasonal playlist, and I will put all of my Halloween type things there until we're ready to throw some fall and Christmas stuff too. I add glitter to my crystals. Soap safe, body safe, environmentally friendly glitter is what I always like to use. And so this is a sparkling mica, but it looks like a glitter, acts like a glitter. So I call it glitter. And I probably actually did off camera. I don't know. You can spritz the little crystals with alcohol first. It helps the glitter to adhere. I try not to completely cover the crystals because, again, it just pulls the dimension out. Yeah, see, I didn't show me putting it in soap, but I will in the full video. You're just, I pour halfway, about halfway, fill the mold with a clear type of soap. This was clear with a clear yellow liquid stained glass soap dye. You always want to use soap safe dye. You never want to use food coloring. It's just not, just because it goes in food, it doesn't mean it's intended for your skin. It is not, and is not good for, not good for your skin, not good for your soaps. It's going to fade. It's going to look icky. Anyway, you see, I did with the bat, I did the whole amethyst look as well. And that's why I showed that little stone. That's an amethyst stone I do year round. And I just wanted to show you, you can use some of your other design ideas and turn them into Halloween soaps by putting them in Halloween soap molds, which you can find everywhere right now. I mean, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, online. Amazon is a great place to find molds that are inexpensive. And many, many times they come super quick. So, especially if you have Amazon Prime. But you can find them at the Dollar Tree. You can find them so many places right now. And any silicone molds that are food safe are typically also soap safe. So that's kind of handy because a lot of people like to make little candies and little things, little treats like that out of those molds. And so sometimes you can find them in the baking area, not just soap crafts, because not every store has a soap craft section. And these, again, little same types of little molds, any mold you like. The simpler the mold, the easier it is to do more design work on. So like these just have poppy seeds, so that's pretty simple and easy. You just stir them in and don't pour too hot because they will sink or float. I forget which. But let's say you're doing the crystal look. You don't want the soap itself to be really intricate, or you're going to lose the detail of either the crystals or the soap mold itself, or both, and it just kind of gets all muddled. And you can't really tell what it is, what the design is. These, you don't have to use a knife to clean up. That's just what I do. Please use caution. I have a lot of experience using a knife to both carve and clean up a variety of different types of mediums. So if you're not comfortable doing that, as you see here, you can also kind of wipe it off. You could probably scrape it with one of those little plastic sticks as well. I was just kind of doing what I normally do. And there are full tutorials on these as well, which I will link. Again, I won't link the whole thing. I'm going to link the playlist, so it should be in there. And now here's the more complicated one. So if you're looking for this one, it is Gothic windows, and it might say something about embeds. I think it does. I think it says something about embeds, but that is in it's on my channel, and it will be in the embed playlist, and obviously I will put it also in the seasonal playlist, which will have all the Halloween stuff in there. So these are just, I just pre-cut all of these ahead of time. In the video, I show you how I trace the shape, how I get the shape I want. I'm a bit fussy with things, so you don't have to be. If you're making little treats and little teacher gifts and whatever you like for just your friends and your family, you don't need to be as careful as I'm being, and I'm not even super careful with these because it is art. I don't like it to look like it is made by a machine. I like to go for artistry above pretty much everything else. Well, except safety. Artistry and safety. But, yeah, I'll come back later and clean up some of these. As you see, I'm a messy pourer. There's black soap everywhere. And in most of these, because I was doing double and triple duty sometimes while making the videos, so I'm making multiple soaps at once, it gets kind of messy on my table, and I apologize for that. It gets a little, I just run out of places to put things, but I want them handy. I'm not great at that. And so someday I'll get to a point where I can just record one at a time and not try to push it all in there. I kind of got a late start on Halloween, so I feel like I'm being pushed, or pushing myself, really. So these little embeds, I do a separate video showing, oh no, it's in this video on embeds. I do show you how to work with such intricate molds because they're hard to work with soap until you get the feel of it. They're intended for like fondant. Look for fondant molds if you're wanting to try some smaller, intricate designs. You can find some really cool fondant molds that are also usable for soap. So that's another kind of search term to use on Amazon. But they're a little tricky. But there are some, I give you some hints in the other video on how to successfully use those and remove the soap from the molds so that the legs all don't break off. I'm cutting them off right now because I'm trying to fit this little guy kind of like he's peeking around the corner of this window. I didn't think one spider was enough in there, and so there's that guy kind of just halfway. He's hanging on the sill or something. So that's the front of the soap. I intentionally put the soap embeds to the back. There's the back right there. So you get kind of a clearer shot of them, but I wanted them to look like you were looking out the window at them. And so it gives more of a three-dimensional image. It also really shows off the clarity of your soap. For clarity, I always use Crafter's Choice Premium Crystal Clear soap base. That is my melt and pour soap base of choice. They are out of it right now, and so I've been hoarding it like crazy. So I think this was probably the last full soap I did using that, and then it's been just when I can, when I need to. Right here, you see a combination of soap types because the main soap is going to be black. So it really, as long as you're not using a white soap, which there are a lot of white types of soap base, you don't want to try to make black out of those or any really bright or dark colors. They almost always, unless you're really adding probably too much soap dye, you can get kind of bright, but you're not going to get black. You'll always get gray if you use a white soap base. But usually you'll end up with a type of pastel if you're using colored micas or liquid soap dyes. You can get a fairly bright neon, but it's still toward the pastel side. I actually will add a little titanium dioxide when I am using neon pigments to give it just a little bit more opacity, and it brightens them just a little, but I don't add much because I don't want it to be pastel unless I want it to be pastel. But I haven't done a lot with pastel neons, although they're very pretty. That mess you saw, I showed you the bucket, but if you couldn't read it, that is activated charcoal. It's what I prefer to use for black, for coloring a soap black. You can certainly use mica. I like activated charcoal is wonderfully cleansing, and that's all we can say our soap bars do, but it is a very good cleanser for a lot of people. I also included the yellowish looking soap that you see in there. I had basic clear, but I also added the aloe vera and olive soap from Crafter's Choice, just because I love the skin feel on that one, and I'm not a fan so much of the basic clear skin feel. I have really sensitive skin, and as I'm sure we all know, what your skin feels like after you use the soap is not going to be the same as mine. Everybody's skin likes different things. Some need more moisture than others. Some people don't like certain feels. It varies so much. So I'm not going to tell you what soap base you have to use. I'll just tell you what I like, and that's all I can do. And I can, guide you with things like, please don't try to make a black soap out of white soap base. It's not going to work. I have more than a pound in this bucket here, and I am putting 5 milliliters. You really typically want to learn eventually how to weigh out your soaps and look up the IFRA standards. And if you are buying from a reputable company with soap grade fragrances, they're going to tell you all of that. I'm kind of taking a shortcut here, and I do that in a lot of my videos because it makes it a lot easier. I just don't have a ton of room, and I work slowly, so I have to kind of work quickly. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't really typically have time to move the scale back and forth. I'll use it when I absolutely have to, but when I know what the fragrance guidelines are, I kind of just stick with that and use the pipettes and measure in milliliters instead of grams, or ounces, or what, depending on what soap I'm doing. So, but for demos, it's so much easier for me. And it's a good rule of thumb, and I didn't kind of figure this one out. This one comes from Koala Soaps. She's got some great tips and techniques for beginning soap makers, melt and pour soap makers. And it's about a teaspoon, 5 milliliters. It's about 1% of your soap, and you're typically, if you use that as a standard, most likely you're not going to go over the fragrance recommendations. Now, with essential oils, you will. So I don't recommend starting off with essential oils as a beginner anyway. The fragrance I used in these, and I did fragrance the whole batch there, but normally I wouldn't be fragrancing these little drops I'm making. I'm making eyeballs. These are my signature eyeballs that I use for many, many soaps. They're goofy. They end up looking a little bit weird. That is intentional. Anything I'm putting little goofy fake eyeballs on, I want them to be funny. So I put one single drop in a massage bar soap, in the little nibs, or whatever you want to call them, the little nibs, I don't know, the little parts that are the massage parts. I put one drop down in. You do want to try to center that drop as best you can. Some of them will get off center and it can be great. What you want to avoid mostly is having the drop run down the side, because then you're not really getting a pupil look. So try to center it as best you can. I do a bunch at a time, and then I only take out a few in this video, what I'm going to use, and then a few extra just in case. But I will make them in batches like that and then put them all in a bag and use them up that way. Use them slowly that way, or quickly if I'm doing a large batch of poop soaps, because I do use them. That's where I started using them, was in my poop soaps. So you just saw me add some glitter to this, and again, it's the same. It's Sparkle Sunshine from Mad Micas, my favorite place to buy micas. And you can see what it does when you spray that alcohol. It is gorgeous, and yeah, it does show up in it's a very thick, not thick, but very opaque black, and it still shows up quite well. So here is what you see me doing with that black soap that I just poured, and this soap lift or soap saver. They go by many names. These are just a cheapy box of them I bought on Amazon. Please don't allow your children to do this craft with you and not cut this part for them. What you're trying to do is loosen the middle a bit, because you're feeding or kind of weaving these pipe cleaners through. I would choose better pipe cleaners than I did. I bought the cheapest ones I could find on Amazon. They're really cheap. They're really, really cheap. So they don't have much firmness when it comes to poking through. And if you had better pipe cleaners, you might not have to struggle as much as I did with these. The first one went a lot easier. I don't know why the second one was a little more tough to get through, but you're basically just lacing them in there. These are becoming legs for your spider. I'm not putting them in the soap because that would not work in soap. There's a lot of things that you don't want to add to melt and pour soap, and anything with metal in it is probably not a good idea, unless it is your pure 24 karat gold, your food grade type gold leaf, and it has to be the real thing. If it's not, it's going to I can't think of the word, but it's not going to stay nice in soap. Yeah, and not really rust, but yeah, that's the word. Oxidize. That's the word I was looking for. It's going to oxidize, and you don't want that in your soap. It will look ugly and probably not a great thing for your skin. So I'm just putting my 4 pipe cleaners across there. The where the legs are standing up, that's actually going to be the top of the soap saver, and I'm making this as kind of a little gift set. The spider is going to sit on the soap saver, which will save your soap. I buy them, and then every once in a while I'll say, okay, for the month of whatever, I'm giving 1 free soap saver for every order over so much. And you really do want to I prefer to get my customers used to using something like this, a draining soap dish or a soap dish with a soap saver in it, something like that. Because melt and pour soap does not, any handmade soap, does not need to be sitting in a puddle of water. It will get gross really fast. And I also recommend that my customers switch out their soaps every once in a while and give it a rest. If you see it start to get cloudy, let it sit outside the bathroom, or at least not in the shower for a while, or sit on a shelf somewhere and not be in the traffic of every day or 10 times a day use. And just give it a chance to dry out, and it will clear up and it will look beautiful again. And that's the way to keep your soap looking and behaving nicely all through its use, and it will last longer. that way as well. You see me checking temperature here because, yeah, 134, while that's not cooking the soap or boiling it, it's pretty hot for the type of soap I use. And it definitely would melt if I just poured it right away at that temperature. It would. That's why I keep spraying it and stirring it and spraying it and stirring it. You don't want it to melt the little black drops because I'm about to pour that into the nubs. I do not fill them full. I do fill them at different levels, and I don't care if one eyeball is sticking out further than the other on my poop soap or my spider soap. Because again, I go for funny with these, and you get really funny looks, in my opinion, when the eyes don't match perfectly. It's a fun look, and it also makes it easier than trying to make everything perfect, because I don't know about you, but I can't. So I try to design around that. I try to design things that when they're not quite perfect still look great and look like they were intended to be that way. So these are my signature eyeballs. I use them in a lot of things, like I said, and they will be used in 2 different ways in this spider. This is my first time doing eyeballs in a slightly different way, you'll see, because I'm making 2 of them. One of them I already decorated the soap saver with his legs and bent them up. You'll see I kind of shaped the legs a little bit more later. But one, I wanted to do one with my typical way I use my eyes, so you could kind of see that. And the other is, 'cause my son was reminding me that, you know, spiders have a lot of eyes. So, and they can have quite a variety of number of eyes, including no eyes. There's a species of spider that has no eyes, and you probably don't even care. But I wanted to do one with multiple eyes because I thought it would be fun, and that's what I'm doing right here. I only filled that mold. This is a ball mold, and I only filled it up halfway, and then when that set up very thoroughly, I poured in clear. You may have seen me scratching a little bit in there. That is so the clear soap would adhere to it. And now I'm using a little stylus, the art stylus that I have, to kind of move the eyeballs in the position I want. I want them looking out from the clear, where I put the clear. And it is on a tilt on purpose because I only want the clear kind of where the eyeballs are. I was taking a gamble and hoping it would work. It does, spoiler alert. It works perfectly. And now I'm scratching again to pour the rest with black over top of it. And the clear that's why it was tipped. It's preventing the black from covering the eyeballs or going in between them. I just wanted it to be kind of a little row of eyes. So please ignore, I'm sorry, I kind of ended up doing too many things at once, but please ignore all of the loofah soaps that I'm making. I'm going to do that in a separate video. I originally intended to do this all together and try to get all of these soap ideas down, but it was just too much. So, so you'll see that in a later video. Hopefully not too much later. Hopefully not after Halloween, but it's just kind of just fun. Just ignore the fun. We'll just do the spider. So that right there, what you see me doing, putting those 2 eyeballs there, I just scratched a little bit on the outside, and I put an X on the back of the eyes with the little tiny knife, and then I put a couple of drops of liquid soap, hot liquid soap, and pressed them into it and held it until they stuck. And that's how I do my poop soap eyeballs, and that's how I do a lot of different little creatures that I make, their little eyeballs. So, you see me here, I'm just shaping those legs. All you do is put one bend, give them a knee, and then you can kind of play with them and just see how you like them. I liked them at different levels, so it looks like he's kind of crawling along, or she. I don't know. But here comes the look. Now you kind of get to see how it comes together. Isn't that adorable? I don't know. I thought it was adorable. I wasn't sure it would work when I had the idea. My thought is to then wrap those 2 soaps separately and gift it in a gift box like that, with the 2 soaps in place like that. And then the consumer or your friend or your kids can choose one of the soaps to use after they unwrap them and set them there. That's how it would sit on your counter or in a soap dish or whatever, and it will prevent a lot of it. You're still going to have to probably run it through water and clean it a little bit. That's another reason to choose the pipe cleaners rather than something else. It has to be able to get wet. But it will prevent your soap from drowning if you allow it. If you and it's it's just good for this, get through this soap. And I mean, you could pull the pipe cleaners out and maybe get another couple of uses. You're supposed to change them out, I think, every 2 to 3 months. They don't always last that long, in my opinion. But you can throw them in the dishwasher and clean them, and they get a little stiff, but they still work. But they'll eventually start to smell and biodegrade, etc. So, because they are biodegradable, which is another great feature. So now you see the other eyeballs that I made. Hopefully I pulled that up close to the camera. I was talking too much to pay attention to what was going on the screen. But you see the 4 eyes in the clear facing out, and I was so glad that it worked. You'll see a better picture of that coming up. So if you got this far, I thank you so much. And here are some of the light box pics that I took. Just some different ideas of ways you could kind of put them together in groupings. I tend to sell them in little trios or individually, but a lot of people like to get the trios because it's just fun. And you have a variety of little hand soaps. If you have a variety of kids in your house or friends you're giving these to or co-workers or whatever, these ones with the poppy seeds seem to be pretty popular. They're a little bit exfoliating. Don't add too much, just a little bit. And these are my Gothic windows, the ones you saw me making that are a little more complicated. But again, they're really not hard. They're just complicated and they take some time. So again, that video will be available on my channel and in the seasonal list. Here's the spiders. I had fun taking pics of these. I hope you got some ideas from this, and I hope maybe you learned something. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And here I'm showing the kind of use of them separately, how they're not attached. That was intentional for use. So thanks so much for stopping by my channel, and look for maybe one more Halloween compilation video coming soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.